You are going to be overwhelmed by the comprehensive overview Ssekitto, Kalule, Emmanuel gives us about the precarious nature of education of Ugandan children, of the invisibility of their emotional scars as a result of a cultural proclivity towards violence. But mostly, you're going to be absolutely amazed at the initiative he's created to cure these children of the demons that just walking to school can cause, and what he's doing to tap into their inner creativity, which in turn ignites their empathy for their own lives as well as for those around them. Ssekitto has taken the way he sees the world through the intricacies and every genre of art and has translated that into 9 steps that's saving the lives of children all over Uganda and is now seeping into the surrounding countries as well. You're going to hear Ssekitto talk about the importance of structure in a child's life, of giving them moments of reflection, of giving them opportunities to turn the images in their mind into artistic voices on paper. And this surprised even me, how he has created a brilliant loop of support for these children. You're going to hear Ssekitto lay out his whole story in the beautiful rhythm and pattern of a Ugandan speaking to his elders, which frankly belies the expansive joy and all the smiles on his face while he's speaking. We begin in the middle of our introductory chat before we officially begin, so you can hear Sekitto's deeply heartfelt objectives in talking about and putting his heart and soul into this program. What I want is I want to highlight your initiative and let people know about it and present you in the best way I can. So that's my goal. What's your goal?
My goal is here to hear from what you're doing, but also highlight the important work that you're doing on grassroots in a sense that we can inspire other people to keep pushing and keep making the impact that they intend to. So for me, that's my goal. I'm coming here in the sense that I'm here to share the little that I've gained over the experience that I've been involved with, but also open myself to learning more.
So, okay, let's begin because already you are fascinating, just like a pool of information here. So, Ssekitto, thank you so much for being here. You're going to talk to us about your initiative called Face Up Uganda. And
yes,
it's based on art. What I'd like to do first, if you would be so kind, is to give us sort of a general idea of education in Uganda and why then, because we need to understand what's happening with the children in Uganda to understand why this is such an important initiative. Could you give us a general idea of what the education is?
Again, thank you for hosting me. For me, it's a great pleasure to come and share about what we do, but also spotlight on the incredible and magnitude of talent that we have in the country, Uganda. I am Ssekitto Kalule Emmanuel, and I am the founder of the organization called Faces Up, an initiative and a non-profit that was inspired by my own experience, which I'll talk more about. But in the context of the education system, like everywhere in the world, the education system in Uganda is not meeting to the needs of the young people and the vast changing world. It's not attempting to empower young people with the skills to address the 21st century requirements. Just in a nutshell of what for us we see as a problem, we find that many of these children, their academic outcomes are low, but there are so many factors that are underpinning this. Almost 7 in 10 of the children that start in primary never reach university. So you can see such a very big divide of the children that drop out on the way from primary to university.
What are some of the factors that have a bearing on that really high percentage?
There are a couple of factors really that underpin this. Some are socioeconomical issues around finances and poverty lines, but also others are from within the students. For example, many of these children are getting to school, but with a lot of unmet psychosocial needs. Majority of them have gone through violence. If I'm to highlight some of these forms, like 3, according to the survey that was done by UNICEF and the Ministry of Gender and Labour Social Development in Uganda, 3 in 4 children have experienced violence.
At home or in general?
That's the general prediction. Out of the children all over in Uganda, 3 out of the 4 that you meet, the three have undergone through certain kind of violence.
So their emotional needs are not being addressed in school, and so they really have no context in which to assimilate intellectual information. They're still trying to deal with day-to-day issues.
Absolutely. Before even they go to school, children go to school when they're already broken. And sometimes we take this understanding and vision that, or maybe assumption that it's not the school that is in position to meet the needs of the learners, but the learners from their homes, on their way to school, within schools. There's so many factors that underpin how they show up in class. And of course, the economic backgrounds, many families can't afford to support a child's education. Even in government schools, you find that there are so many requirements and so many fees that the parents have to support. And you find that because of that, children are in school worried. They don't know whether they're going to be just out of school, because for us here, if you don't meet the school fees in time, you're not allowed to attend classes. So children are always in that kind of insecurity of whether they will attend the next class or they will even attend the day after. Many of these children have a lot of unmet psychosocial needs. And when they show up in school, they're not in position to comprehend the academics and the academic support that they get.
Is this across gender, or is this predominantly for girls or predominantly for boys?
It's cross-gender, but you find that girls are more at the vulnerability level, especially in terms of violence. For physical violence, boys are at the top.
Especially the boys.
Yeah, for physical violence, it's especially the boys. And for girls, for sexual violence, you find that 1 in 3 of the children, girls, have undergone through sexual violence. It's within 1 in 6 boys that have undergone through sexual violence.
Is this from older people in the family, or is this between the same age boys?
If I'm to give you a background of how a society is set up here in Uganda or in African context, is that the older have more power over the young ones. And sometimes this power that the older ones have, they have that power, misuse of that power to physically violate children.
What is the percentage of students overall who make it to university? Do you have those figures?
Like 30% make up to the university. Drop out of school, the margins are actually so much between primary and secondary. Transitioning from primary level to secondary, a big number of these children drop out.
So you've seen this happening. You grew up in this culture of the insecurity in the schools, and so you decided to do something about it.
Before actually even I could realize that I wanted to do something, as a young man, growing up in a conscious family with my mom, I always saw her as a social conscious and responsible young lady. And so I had always that mindset that as a person, there's something I needed to do for my community. And so with the opportunity that I got, that I reached university, I pursued a bachelor's degree in industrial and fine art. And during my time at the university, the question was always, how do I take art out of the university into the community? So reflecting back to in 2016, I started a research project which was focused on understanding the relationship children had with the toys they create themselves versus the toys their parents bought for them, all toys that they were given. Many of these children were creating toys around their families, around their future, their dreams, around things that had an attachment to them as children. But on the other hand, the toys that the parents were buying for them were not putting into context what these children really wanted for themselves.
And this is after you got your bachelor's degree, and this is a research project you started just spontaneously because your mother seemed to have instilled in you the importance of community. So you were doing this for yourself, or were you doing this as a way of doing postgraduate work?
While I'm pursuing my bachelor's degree, I was doing my own research.
Okay, but this is through the lens of art because you love art. You have the soul of an artist. That's how you see the world, apparently. Am I correct?
Absolutely is.
Okay.
And why actually art? Because I always knew that art belonged to the community rather than the studio and the museum. So for me, that was my perception of art.
Okay, why do you say that? Why do you think art is part of a community?
Because over time, art has contributed to a building of communities. Art brings together people. Art educates, art entertains, art informs people. And people are in the community. So what happens that if we're practicing art only in our studios for only ourselves and the few people that access our studios, we are denying the opportunity for the community to benefit from the practice piece of art that we are pursuing. So for me, that kind of thinking is why I always think and I believe that art belongs to the community, because even the subject matter that we talk about or we paint in artworks, for example, it's talking about what is happening within the communities, what's happening within our families, happening within the world, what's happening within the context of what the outside and the inside. So for me, I felt that because that we borrow from community, then art should involve the community.
Okay, so just as a little bit of a tangent, not much of a tangent, why do you think then, if art is so critical and such a core element of a community, even if some people don't like the same artwork and everybody has their preferences, why do you think that art is not always valued as much as maybe it could be or ought to be in the school system?
Art is a tool of revelation. And so who holds the power then determines what should be appreciated and what shouldn't. Because art has moved a lot of revolutions, art has contributed to a lot of liberation and independence movements and liberation of people from different margins of vulnerability to different margins of marginalization to the liberty. So the people that structured the system of education knew how powerful this tool was, that they decided to silence it.
Wow.
And it's from that silencing of this tool that society is clinging in this understanding and perspective that art is not important, yet art is the most important component of any development.
Okay, so you developed this initiative called Faces Up, and it has a structure of 4 elements. Could you explain the 4 core principles of your initiative?
Yeah, thank you. Why actually, before even we could go into the 4 components, this program that we're implementing has evolved over time. It's not enough for children to draw incredible and beautiful artworks, but what is this process of creation? I know if you have children, you must have realized that children love to draw. There are specific themes that they're drawing about. Maybe they're drawing about their families. Maybe they're drawing about their future or the things that they want to do. They're drawing about how they are interacting with their peers. So much of their topics are informed by their aspirations and the positivity that is surrounded in their lives. But then in 2019, one of the children that actually got involved with our program really opened our eyes more. Every time that we could provide materials for all the children to draw, because we have a community center, this young man was drawing and expressing a lot of violence in his artworks. At the age of 9, he was drawing a lot of guns, a lot of accidents, a lot of fights, a lot of blood. The way he was using the material was also strange. And this is something that he kept doing for almost a month. There was that kind of systematic representation of a certain element in his artwork that really got us so curious. Almost 10 artworks of the young man. This really showed us that there was something that we needed to do. There was something that was happening in the mind of that young man, but he was not in position to say it. We go back and try to analyze, because we progressively see what the children create over time in our program. So once we went to understand this artwork, we realized that this young man was from a refugee experience background. He was from South Sudan. At the age of 9, this young man had witnessed a lot of brutal actions that were signified and exhibited during the civil war in South Sudan. He had seen people die, he had seen fires, he had been running to protect his life, he had seen accidents, he had seen a lot of extreme life experiences, which are unfortunate for any human, but then you can imagine for a young man of 8 years like he was. So from there, we could see that he was struggling as an individual with the unmet psychosocial needs, but yet he had no platform, he had no anyone to talk to and share this experience, though even he had no vocabulary to describe what he was feeling. With my experience and the background of using art as therapy, I intentionally took him on a journey of using art for him to draw all that was in his mind, to exhaust whatever burden that he had in mind in form of drawings and pictures. In a period of 2 months, the young man was replacing the guns with flowers in his artworks. He was replacing the battlefields and the fights with playgrounds, drawing young people playing football, girls playing netballs, going to the park to see animals, was reflecting birds, was reflecting the rainbow, water. There was a significant shift in the subject matter that was drawing. But that significance shift also reflected in the way he was interacting with children and other peers. He became more happy, he became more confident, he became more open-minded, he started talking about his work extensively. Even his general appearance changed. He was smiling often. So from that story and from that observation of one child, it informed the program that we're implementing now.
You're going to be explaining then what you did with him specifically, because it seems like you helped him exercise his demons literally through the artwork, right?
You know, what really happens is that many children have unmet psychosocial needs and they lack the vocabulary to talk about. It's hard for us in our context and in our communities for a child even to describe that they're feeling, for example, they're feeling sad, anxious, maybe they're feeling depressed, maybe they're feeling lonely, they're feeling isolated, they don't feel that self. They can't explain that. But you find that once they're given an opportunity, if you're asking them, draw what you feel, they will draw a couple of things. They will express that in form of drawings. And so we took him in a couple of systematic drawing exercises. One was tapping into his inner soul, telling him to draw what he felt inside, the things that he didn't like that had ever happened in his life. What are the fears, the chambers of fears? What are the chambers of joy? What are the chambers of happiness? Asking him to go deep down in his mind to portray and draw these things out. And then also asking him to draw the people that he loved in his life, the people that he missed in his life, the people that he wanted to interact with. So these kind of systematic but well-curated art exercises enable this young man to express himself in ways that he could not speak or even verbalize. And in the process of expressing, he attained a certain kind of power over the thoughts and the trauma that he had experienced. It is through this systematic approach of drawing over a prolonged and a progressive manner of approach that enabled this child to step over the fears and the trauma that he had in his life. There are so many children like him that have unmet psychosocial needs, that have witnessed a lot of violence, that have witnessed a lot of trauma, that are isolated, that are coming from broken families. But yet, very few children are in position to verbalize and express their feelings and emotions. So we co-created an idea that art form as a way to rehabilitate and empower children, with utmost emphasis on those at the margin of society.
So, Ssekitto, you're targeting marginalized children in your program. Is this because students who have more financial resources have more support in working out their problems, or because they have fewer problems?
Children from vulnerable backgrounds don't have this privilege, don't have this opportunity. So it comes that they then have no platform that can enable them to express themselves free out of this stress and emotions that they have. And so this is buried within them. And as they grow up, these are then exhibited as post-traumatic stress disorders, such as depression, suicide and anxiety, as young people grow. But for us, we believe as an important approach is to support the young ones to heal out of those traumatic experiences.
What you're describing is foreign to me, as it's really far from my reality, and yet it's absolutely the reality of these children you're working with. So you and your team, how many did you say are in your team?
We are a team of 5.
That the 5 of you are committed to helping these children express these realities with the goal of expunging them, just getting them out of their bodies. We could say that you're helping them heal their soul, couldn't we?
Absolutely it is. It's giving them healing power and also establishing stability amongst them.
Okay, so let's, if you don't mind, explain the program to us, please. And you can begin anywhere you want. You don't have to begin with the 4 fundamental principles.
Absolutely, it is. Our program explores different elements of art, such as painting, drawing, photography, comics and illustration, acrostic poetry, storytelling, as ways for young people to express themselves.
Okay, but is this in school or is this out of school? Are you working with the schools or is this supplementary?
We work in schools and out of school. Our program is a supplementary support program for schools.
Okay, got it.
So what we do is we've structured our program that focuses on 4 elements. We find that these are the more core components, especially if they are to thrive in life. One is creative development. So at this level, we are using different art forms to support fine motor skills development in children. how to hold pencil, how to coordinate the eyes, how to coordinate the mind and the brain and the actions, and also to support cognitive development amongst the children. So that element of creative development is also focusing on supporting children to develop their creative expression. How can they start to tell a story using a different form of arts? And also that same approach is supporting children to develop problem-solving skills and decision-making. If you're like me, when you provide material to children, for example, paint and crayons, the children is starting to exercise which color should I pick, which size of drawing should I draw, which artwork how should I draw the person? They have that kind of opportunity for them to make their decisions. And if they do it over time, their decision-making skills are improving. So that's one of the components of our work. And then we have a general development. You find that children, because of the traumatic experiences they go through, their development levels are retarded. They are not happy. They are not in position to express themselves. They have no stability, because for example, in homes within underserved communities, you find that there's no established structure that the family follows. And that kind of lack of stability affects the stability levels in a child. Everything is a surprise. They can't predict their life. They can't predict how they should look like. Whatever happens is what happens. So through this general development, we're supporting children to establish this kind of stability in their lives, but also offering them a platform to fulfill their dreams.
All right. So you're saying that at home, most of these children are on alert because they're never sure what's going on, and they really have no secure elements in their homes.
Yeah, most times everything happens abrupt. Like today you can go to school, tomorrow you may not. Today you can have a meal, tomorrow you may not. Today your father is home or not. Today they are happy, tomorrow they are not. Today they are confident, tomorrow they are not. You can't really define who exactly these children are. You find that today is this, tomorrow is that. There's no that kind of stability. And then another element of our work supports the emotional development. You find that if you can't express your feelings are suppressed. If you can't express what you feel in mind, especially, it's so hard for you to step over the fears that you have. Many children are battling with a couple of things that they can't define. You find that children can't regulate their emotions. They are aggressive. They are self-isolating. They have low self-esteem. So for us, what we do is that specific artworks and sessions are held to support the child to find that stability in their emotion levels. And the other is social interaction. We can't exist without others. We need to learn how to interact with people. So in that way, we structure our program in set of group work, introducing children to work and learn as a team, supporting children to exercise their leadership skills, their patience, because it's hard to work with people if you're not patient, to appreciate diversity, that someone may like this, but you may not like this. So it's okay to let the other one like what they like and you like what you want. So this is how we are driving that conversation around social interaction, with the hope that then the children are in position to appreciate diversity, but also are in position to work and support one another in the different art exercises that we do. Those are the 4 core components of our work.
All right. So you went from a very small initiative, a very small program, and now it's spread out all over Uganda, is it not?
It is. We've structured our program in a sense that it's cost-effective and easily replicable.
Okay. Can you explain that? Why is it cost-effective? There are some materials that are necessary.
We don't need to have complicated technological gadgets or materials to implement this program. A pencil and pen and colors sometimes is all that you need.
The most powerful part of what attracted me to your program is that no technology is needed. And so often now educators think technology is the only way to attract students. And you are proving that that's absolutely not true, right?
Absolutely, it isn't. Even though it makes things easier, but sometimes we overlook the simplicity that things can be, and then we don't leverage the power that such things can be able to contribute to. So we've made it easy that someone can just follow the structured manual that we have created and is in position to deliver this program out of even when we are not there.
Because you have 9 specific steps that you're suggesting that other educators follow, is that right?
Yes, we have those nines because what we've also learned that for children to establish stability in life, they need to follow a structure. It may not be stiffly structured, but a certain kind of rhythm and flow.
And then you specifically say there's the welcome circle, which I love because you're already creating community. And then there's the introduction and icebreakers, which you include. You have the planned activities of the day. So you're setting up the objectives that the students know. You actually make sure that to establish there's a snack time, a break time. You're having them share personal stories. I'm reading this because I want to make sure I get it right. You're having them share personal stories. So again, it's building confidence, it's building community, and it's asking them to learn to trust each other, because to tell a personal story, you need to become a bit transparent and vulnerable. And so you need the others to trust. And then you have collaborative learning and working. You have reflection time, which I love. You know, as well as I do, that reflection is so important for the students and for whoever the educator is. And you include a farewell. You include a farewell structure at the end, which is also beautiful. And that's for each session. Is that right?
Yeah, that's for each session. This is based on the level to create a rhythm of flow. Over time, rhythm and flow supports children to develop stability.
So you give this to other educators. How are you staying connected to all these programs? Because you're a team of 5, that's not very big.
Yeah, absolutely.
How are you staying connected to this?
So we share our methodology and they contextualize it in their own way. And for schools, we have key contact people. These people are taken through the training of our program, and these people are supported remotely. They are also provided with essential materials and resources that aid them to implement our program. So we are not physically there, but we are remotely there.
And then you're asking them to send you some of the artwork, either digitally or physically?
We have visits in the schools where they do exhibitions of these artworks. Then you have a look at them. And the teachers either sometimes be like, oh, this has come out in our classes. Children are drawing about this. What do you think about that? Then we have conversation around that.
Okay. And how are you getting funded?
What happens is that our kind of funding is structured in 2 ways. We have the opportunity for grants and donations, but also have a concept of earned incomes. If you can see this shirt I'm wearing.
Oh, is this one of the children? A child created that?
Yeah, what they do is they contribute their artworks, and their artworks inspire design prints on merchandise.
Oh, that's gorgeous. That's gorgeous. If you can, you need to send me if you have a digital printout of that beautiful t-shirt, I want to include that in the show notes so people can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we have an e-commerce platform where we sell this merchandise.
Perfect. So you are involved with getting the artwork and having it printed on, say, t-shirts and then selling them. Yeah,
t-shirts, artworks, and other merchandise. Out of these resources and the funds that we get out of selling this merchandise, we support the education of children. So from the sales that we generate, 70% is used to take care of the education needs of children, and 30% is invested back into our program.
So if a child donates her artwork, let's just say, she doesn't specifically get that money back, but in general, she will enjoy some of its benefits. So what happens is that at first, we used to get this money and give it to the children, but also because of the needs some families had, the money was used for other things, and the priority that we had was for education. We also realized that some children's artworks were being bought more than others. And so it created that kind unbalanced support, whereas certain children were getting more and other children are not getting. But yet the need was shared on average. So that's how it informed that we get this money and have a joint fund that raises school fees. Okay, because this is an element I was completely unaware of, that you are now reinvesting in the initiative through money generated by the artwork of these students who are benefiting emotionally from the program. It's just such a gorgeous circle. Well, like they already have artwork, they're already creating masterpieces. Why not use these artworks as a stepping stone for them to attract support? It's completely logical. I think it's incredible that you're actually manifesting it, that you're realizing it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's really what informed us, and a decent interest and demand for the merchandise of the children, in a sense that people are supporting our cause through acquiring value for themselves. So you're helping them emotionally, you're helping them exercise their demons. I'm going to say it again that way because I think that is fairly accurate. And then you're helping them stay in school so that they can become more productive and have more opportunities in the future.
Absolutely. You've said it all. We have that holistic look of things that one should lead to the other, but we should support the child holistically and completely, not leave the children half-baked. And education is such an important aspect for children and young people.
So Ssekitto, where would you like to go with the program? You've explained it so thoroughly. And unfortunately, we don't have more time to go into so many more elements that I'm sure you're working with. Where would you like it to go in the next, let's say, 3 or 4 years?
It's quite an interesting question. Like, our aspiration first is addressing the needs for the children and young people all over Uganda and East Africa. And because we work with the children in communities, but also in the education setting, so we have pushed for partnerships with the government to make sure that arts education is accessible to all children, regardless of their privilege levels. So what we see and what we aspire for is making sure that our program is present in all the schools in the country, and children all over the country have access to arts education. So that's one of the visions as an organization, and this is something that we are stepping closer to because our conversation with the government and the Ministry of Education in Uganda are quite very decent, and we are taking it to the level that this program will become a complementary aspect to what is already the education is serving. So we want to reach out to all the children in Uganda and give them this and benefit from the experiences that we've earned over time. And we are looking to scale this program in East African countries. We believe it's such an ambitious, but we know it is possible because we've made our program and positioned it in the way that it is easily scalable.
The products that you're now selling that have been created by these children, can they be bought from outside of the country?
Yes, actually, we have established an online platform, an e-commerce platform, where anyone, anywhere in the world can buy this merchandise in support of our work and also celebration of the incredible talents that the young people from other sub-communities have. But we believe that many people out there want to support organizations like ourselves. And this is an opportunity that we are creating and asking people to champion our work by raising awareness about it, inviting them to support, but also interesting them to invest because it takes only $250 per child over a period of 1 year to go through our program holistically.
Ssekitto, that is just totally unexpected. I didn't know that. It brings it all back together so beautifully. What you've done is you're helping express themselves, and then you are financially supporting them to stay in school so they can continue their cognitive and emotional development. Something I did not know when I read the initiative. I don't think you included it in there. And it just brings it's, the infinity sign that we're all connected and we all need to bring it all back through it. Yeah. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
I can't thank you enough for this time. And I just love your explanation. And you're going to send me all the links so that we know how to contact you and we know how to look at the products and the gorgeous artwork that your students and your children are creating. And Ssekitto, are there any last words that you'd like to share about the project?
Like again, for me, what I've learned is that society is changing. The needs of children are changing. Many people are supporting children, but are not involving them. So for me, my call to action is giving children the opportunity to express themselves. Just like our vision says, inspiring young people to do what inspires them. We should inspire children and young people so that they're in position to do whatever that inspires them. This is how we can harness their potential, but also give them an opportunity to fulfill the enormous opportunities that the world has presented to them. So for me, it's incredibly a pleasure to share this, but I'm open to having more conversation about our work because it's such an holistic kind of approach. But we believe starting from here, this can go to the world.
And so again, thank you so much for explaining this. Yes, we'll talk again. We'll talk some more.
Absolutely.
What can you take away from this conversation and make yours? Well, first and foremost, you can contact Ssekitto, and he'll be able to tell you how you can initiate those 9 steps of the Faces Up program in your schools. You can also, and I strongly encourage you, to go to his website and see the exquisite artwork created by these children under his tutelage and how they're marketing it so it goes right back into their own education. You see now that he's created this brilliant loop of bountifulness, let's say, and that the very cure of the traumas of these Ugandan children is also their economic deliverer. You know I like to be dramatic. But it's by going to school and participating in the program, these children are freed of their traumas, and then in doing so, they empower themselves financially to continue their education. How beautiful is that? You can hear more inspiring conversations like this one at Doorways to Learning with Donna and activities to use to encourage the verbalization of feelings at scaffoldingmagic.com. In the meantime, have fun in your classes and at home, and see you next week for more.